Live and loaded. I'm just going to post this Rumble link real quick, throw it on X, and then we can start chatting after that. All right, posted.
Cool. Cool.
Okay, so first things first, Leslie, thank you for joining me today and doing this. I know it's
Yeah.
very informal, but it's always just nice to talk hockey. And I talk a lot
Yeah.
of sports with guys at work, and I've always thought, you know what, I should do my own talk show for sports. Like, I know enough about it, and I like to think I've made a couple good predictions here and there. So I was like, I should be able to get on some sort of public platform and speak my mind and go from there. So this is my first opportunity at doing it. So again, thank you for joining me.
You're
Um,
welcome.
on the agenda today, we're going to start. Actually, no, we'll just roll with it, and as we get to each one of these things. But I want to know what was your impression of that Stanley Cup final?
It was kind of what I expected. I expected the Panthers to win. I really did. But I also didn't expect Edmonton to play as flat as they did in some games. They had a couple games where, yeah, they came out and played like finals contenders, but then they also had a couple games there where you wondered why they were even in the position they were in.
Yeah,
Because
or how they even got there.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it truly makes you wonder about McDavid. Is he really a player that can carry a team to a
I mean,
championship?
I think yes,
Individually,
he
I think
can.
individually he's a great player, but is he a game changer, carry the team on his shoulders type player that maybe he's been made out to be? That I don't know.
I mean, we can dig into a ton of McDavid stuff, but on
Yeah.
that, I would say yes. The difference I find is the NHL is different from other big sports, specifically the NBA, whereas in the NBA, one guy wins you championships for the
Yes.
most part, right? You get a LeBron James, a Kevin Durant, a Giannis. I don't know how to say his last name, but it's like they can win championships for you.
Yeah.
The NHL, you've got to roll four lines and you've got to have a goalie. And
Yes.
if you don't have a goalie, which the Oilers don't, no offense to
No.
Stuart Skinner or Calvin Pickard or
Yeah.
Picard, however his last name is pronounced.
Tomato, tomato, whatever.
Well, it's like how are you supposed to win a championship when you have Stuart Skinner facing off against Sergei Bobrovsky? It's
Exactly.
not comparable, right? Bobrovsky he earns
He's in a league. Honestly, he's in a league of his own. He really
yeah,
is.
he deserves every dollar of that 10 million he gets,
Yes.
right? And so that's one of the big things I think that final boiled down to was, I saw a great Instagram reel, and it was like how to score on Stuart Skinner. Step one, shoot the puck.
Yeah.
And then it ended, and I was like, "That's pretty much it." Like, that's what it was. Like, they were just throwing pucks at the net, and they were going in. I,
Yeah.
um, but I do think McDavid can change a series on his own. He can win a couple games on his own. But credit to the Panthers, they shut him down. They played him
Yeah.
super well in the bit that I watched. He didn't. They suffocated him. Really,
Yeah.
I thought.
That being said, about comparison to McDavid, but I think that's exactly what Marchand did. When the Florida picked him up, he went down to Florida and said, "You know what, guys? We're going to win a cup, and I'm
Yeah,
going to put this team on my shoulders, and we're going to do this." And
yeah,
he did.
yep. And
He
Sam
went
Bennett
down
too.
there. Yeah, he went down there and said, "We're getting this done. I'm hoisting this trophy at the end of the season.
Yeah.
And he put that team on his shoulders and he played some of the best hockey he's ever played. Ever.
Yeah. Well, I wish I could let me see if I can pull this up. Hang on, because I was looking at some of his stats from this postseason, and the stats were crazy.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can
But
find this
but that
here.
also being said, I don't think Edmonton had the depth that Florida does. Because like you said, all they really had to do was shut down McDavid or Draisaitl.
Yes.
Edmonton then had to shut down Marchand, Kachuk, Bennett, Ekblad. You shut down one of these guys, it opens up this other guy. And
Yeah.
then not only that, they've got defensemen too. Seth Jones can score. Everybody knows that. And which that's another one where when he got traded there,
That
it
was
was
a
amazing how much pushback Florida got on that and said, "Oh, that was a stupid trade. He's past his prime. He can't play anymore." He went down there and said, "The hell I can't.
Yeah. Oh, I
I
thought
can
that was a
still play."
brilliant trade. From the moment that happened, I was like, "Wow,
Yeah.
that was a good trade." And you know what's actually really interesting about that was the year Seth Jones was drafted, he was projected to go number 2. It was the Nathan MacKinnon draft. So
Yes.
Colorado came out and said, "We're taking MacKinnon. There's no discussion. MacKinnon's going first." And then Florida actually had the second overall pick, and everyone thought Seth Jones was the consensus number 2 pick. And instead they took Barkov that year.
Yes.
And I believe I think Jonathan Drouin went third overall, and then Seth Jones went fourth to Nashville, and has been
Yes.
bumped around a little bit. I wouldn't say he's the elite number 2 pick that everyone was projecting him to be, but still, I I thought it was a great acquisition for a right-handed shot defenseman like that.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong, really. Like he's a good
Yeah.
defenseman.
Because Seth Jones bopped around from Nashville, then to Columbus, because I think he came to Columbus in the Jack Johnson trade, and then off to Chicago, and then, yeah, then down to Florida. So, I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes it is just what it is with players. It's just the right team at the right time in the right locker room.
Well,
And he happened to benefit from that this year.
yeah, and you put, I mean, to be fair, you put almost any player on a good team like the Florida
Yeah, they're
Panthers,
going to be good.
and they're going
Yeah.
to look good, right? Like
Yeah,
I could probably look good on that team. Um,
exactly.
I looked up here just since we're talking about trade deadline acquisitions. Um, Marchand put up 10 goals and 20 points in 23 games during the postseason, which is
Yeah,
incredible.
unheard of. It really is. It's like unheard of. Like you don't get that kind of contribution from players. It's usually, like you said, hockey's a team sport.
Yeah,
He went down there and said, "You know what, guys, let's do this."
yeah,
Whatever baggage or whatever issue or whatever it was he had in Boston, he left that shit there. And
yeah,
he packed his shit and he went down to Florida and said, "I'm winning a cup." And
yeah,
by golly, he did.
yeah. And like I said, he was not a liability at any point.
No,
He none of those antics in, like licking people that he's been known for in the
yeah,
past. He just showed up and he scored big goals at big moments and played his heart out. Like crazy rejuvenation.
yeah.
And I'm very happy for him, to be honest. I was happy to see him hoist the cup. Sad to see him kick out my Leafs, but I mean,
Yeah. It almost was weird because he went down there and it was almost like he was a completely different person. It really
yes.
was.
Yep.
It was like you had Boston fans sitting at home and even probably Boston's GM going, "Well, where the hell was this guy? Why
Yeah.
didn't we get him?"
Well, I even thought it during the Four Nations because he was playing in the Four Nations for Team Canada, and I was like, "Why is he
Yeah.
on this team? He looks lost.
Yeah.
Like he did not look
He
good
looked
at all."
old. And
Yeah,
he looked old. And
yeah,
then the trade happens. He goes down there. He gets some of that Florida sunshine and a little of that vitamin D in him. And he's
yeah,
like, "I'm a new man. I'm
yeah,
ready to go. Let's
yeah,
put the puck in the net and let's hoist that cup."
yeah. Really, like crazy. I'm.
Yeah. It
I,
really is. It was like almost like it was like two different people. It truly
yeah,
was.
yeah. Um, So on, I mean, we were talking about Connor McDavid earlier. That's the next note I have here. Connor McDavid's future. If you could make a prediction today with July 1st coming up in the next couple weeks, what does McDavid do? Does he stay? Does he go? Where does he go? What what's your gut telling you on that one?
I say my gut says he goes unless Edmonton makes some sort of big acquisition to enhance their team. But if that being said, if I were to be asked today to predict who he goes to, I say he stays in Canada, and I think he goes to Toronto.
I music to my ears. That's
Especially because Mitch Marner has made comments indicating he doesn't want to stay in Toronto.
yeah, no, Marner's gone. Like
Yeah.
I've watched that
So,
play out for the last couple years. We'll get to that too because I want to talk UFAs as well. But just on McDavid specifically, my
mhm.
gut feeling is he goes to management and says, "Listen, I want to win a cup."
Yeah,
And we're not, no offense, but we're not winning a cup with Skinner and Picard and one
with
defenseman being Bouchard, right?
yep,
I know it's tough, but I got to give you guys one more big crack at it, or else I got to, he's going to be 29 years old, right? Which, young whippersnapper still, but in NHL terms, his prime years are coming to a close, right? He's
yeah,
got one more big contract, and he could get tons of money in Edmonton. Um, but I don't get the feeling that he's a money guy. Like he's going to be paid what he's worth regardless, but
yeah,
it's not like
yeah.
he's going
He's
to.
getting paid.
Yeah, oh, for sure he is. But it's not like he's going to go sign in Florida or Texas or wherever some of those, income tax free states, Nashville, right? He's not going
No,
to go there to,
money's not the issue with him. I
no,
think he wants a cup, and he knows what kind of pressure has been put on him, which again brings me back to what I said. He's going to go to management and say, I need this, this, and this. Either you show me you're going to get that, or I'm taking my skills and I'm going somewhere else to try to get that.
yeah. Does he have a no trade? I'm actually curious. I've never thought about it.
I almost willing to say he probably does.
I'm tempted
Um,
to say he doesn't because I don't know. I mean, in what world do you trade Connor McDavid? Let me see here.
but that also being said, I don't know if his contract would have been done. What contract is he on? Is he still on the first one, or is he on
No,
a
this is his second contract. So he did his entry level
okay,
and then
so then
immediately
yeah,
signed this one.
there's a good chance then yeah, he's probably got a no trade clause in it. There, you're right on that then. If this is his second, then yeah, he's probably definitely got a no trade clause.
I don't see anywhere. Oh yeah,
Let
here it
me,
is. Yeah, you're right. He's got a no movement clause. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It definitely did. Actually, it's interesting. It only kicked in for the final 4 years of the 8-year contract. But yes, he does not have he has a no trade and a full no movement. So he controls his own destiny, which I'm sure he has every right to do. But yeah, my pipe dream is he walks and signs in Toronto.
yeah.
I mean, I
Well,
would love it.
well, that was the other thing. Mitch Marner had a no trade clause in his, and during the trade deadline, I know Carolina made him an offer. I'm not sure what the details of the offer was. It wasn't really disclosed because Marner shut it down. Said, no, I don't want to go there.
Yeah. Well, I've had discussions with guys at work about this. Um, I will just say Tater just popped into the chat. Hello, Tater. Thanks for dropping in. I will be doing some gaming later, so even if you're not a big sports fan, don't worry. I got some gameplay coming up later on tonight. But I do appreciate you dropping in. Um, Mitch Marner's wife just gave birth to their first child in, I think, just
Yeah.
before the postseason started. So again, I have kids. I understand it too. It'd be very hard to say to my pregnant wife, "Oh, by the way, I'm going to Carolina for the final, 2 months of your pregnancy, and then I'm going to
Yeah.
be gone doing playoff hockey." And sorry, But
Yeah.
at the same note, dude makes $11 million a year. He can hire 4 nannies, and she won't have to do a thing at all, right? Like,
Exactly.
um, oh, hang on. My message did not send over to Tater. There we go. Did that one send? You can tell it's not showing up. Anyways, moving on. Where's my next talking point here? Before we get to free agency, let's talk draft. And I don't know a whole bunch about this draft. I'm not sure how much you've looked into it either. But I was just going to play.
I know about the top 20 prospects are all Canadian.
We
It
make good
is,
hockey players. What do you want me to
I
say?
was going to say, it is very, very Canadian deep. Very Canadian deep.
Usually
And
is.
the number one prospect, surprisingly, is a defenseman, which
Yeah.
you don't see that often. I think
Nope.
he's like 6'2", something like that. He's not like a beast, but to see a defenseman as the number one prospect in the NHL draft is just not something you see often.
No, I think the last one to go
What's
first
his name?
overall was Aaron Ekblad.
Yeah, yeah. I think his name's like Matthew Schaefer or
Matthew
something like
Schaefer.
that.
Yep, Matthew
Yeah.
Schaefer. Okay, so this is the game I want to play. I was just going to do the top three. Um, you're the GM of the New York Islanders, who have the first overall pick. Who do you take? Do you take the defenseman, or do you take a forward? Do you try to trade down? What do you think you do?
It's a scoring league. You take a score. You can get away with any more having a couple good defensemen. You really can. You can get by with it. You can't get by in this league without scoring.
Yeah, if you're not putting pucks in the net, you're not winning
Yeah.
games.
The goaltending is too good and the speed of the game is too fast now. You need guys that put the puck in the net.
Yeah.
You can find defensemen, whether it's in the trade deadline, whether it's in the free agency, whether it's in the off season, whatever it is. Defensemen can be moved around. Teams covet scorers, and you need a scorer.
Yeah. I think that's very fair. My play, I think, in all honesty, there's a perfect marriage to be had here. The New York Islanders have the first overall pick. The San Jose Sharks have second.
Yeah.
The projected top round pick, Michael Schaefer, is a defenseman, and the projected number 2 pick is Michael Misa, who
Mm-hmm.
is a centerman. Um, and if there's one thing the Islanders need, it's goal scoring and centerman, especially
Yeah.
considering they traded Brock Nelson at the trade deadline. If there's one thing the San Jose Sharks need at this point, it's a stud defenseman.
Yeah.
They have Macklin Celebrini, who I think is a great hockey player. Will Smith, not to be confused with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air Will Smith, a different Will Smith.
Very different.
They've got some young guns up front, but they don't have a defenseman. They
Yeah.
need a young defenseman that they can start building the back end around. So if I'm San Jose, I am calling the Islanders and saying, "What do we got to do to make a deal happen? We need Schaefer. You need the next guy. Like, let's." And if you're the Islanders, I'm going, okay, well, I've got first overall, you've got second. Give me a third rounder, or give me your second rounder, right? Well,
Yeah.
I'll take your second round pick, which is really going to be 33rd overall. So then you get the second overall, the 33rd overall pick, um, as the New York Islanders. So you still have a high chance of drafting a good player, and then you can then get the goal scoring you need up front. And San Jose gets what they want in drafting a franchise defenseman. And beyond that, I think the draft is really, you just take the best player that's available. Chicago with third overall, they need everything. They need defensemen. They need people that can help Bedard. One of my not so hot takes was I guess it would have been Bedard's draft year when he was just torching the WHL and he was ridiculous with Team Canada at the World Juniors. I said, this
Mhm.
kid might be better than McDavid. Like, he might be better than Connor McDavid. He's
Yeah.
unreal. His shot is lethal. He is so creative. And I said, I would probably take Bedard over McDavid at this point if I'm building a team. And I have come to, eat those words because at this point, there's no way I would take Bedard over McDavid because McDavid is just in a league of his own. But Chicago needs help for Bedard. The poor kid is just getting demolished, and he's got
Yeah,
no support at all in Chicago.
yeah, yeah. I agree with that. And that being said, I think that was the same year the Jackets took Fantilli, and I I'm not disappointed in how that ended up turning
No,
out.
Fantilli's
Where
been a great player too.
yeah, he has been an amazing asset
Yeah,
for the Jackets.
yeah, I think so too. Utah's got number 4. Um,
Are we still hockey clubbing them, or are we mammothing them?
they're called the Mammoth now. It's official, the Utah Mammoth. Um,
So
which, in all honesty, I like better than the Utah Yeti. I felt like that didn't
yeah,
roll off the
I think
tongue nicely.
I wasn't a fan of any of them they threw out there. I thought they all were not good.
Yeah, Venom was probably my favorite, but even that was still kind of like, not the greatest. Um, I don't know Utah well enough, like the team, to be honest with you.
No,
To
and that's the other thing. Being with the Jackets being in the East, I don't follow as many West Coast teams because they're on so late.
yeah,
It really is hard to, other than just what you read in the sports updates or things like that. It's hard to watch them because they're all on late.
yep,
It really is hard to watch them and then get a true assessment of what their teams are and what their dynamic really is.
yep. Yeah, no, I agree. So I guess we can leave it the draft at that point then, because every team after that is just going to be take the best player available. I thought it was
Yeah,
just intriguing to look at the first two being the Islanders and the Sharks, where the Islanders have historically had low goal scorers. They don't really have a big goal scoring player. They're always struggling to score goals. And then that San Jose could really use a great defenseman. So again, I think there's a perfect marriage to be had there to get something done so each player or each team gets the player that they want. But
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
now
Literally, the 16 out of the top 20 of draft prospects are from Canada.
yeah,
Like I've never seen that before. Usually there's like a plethora of players mixed in from Russia or Sweden or
yep,
Finland or here, and here. It's like, no, this is like Canadian stacked.
yeah. Except we got no goalies, which scares me for the Olympics.
Mm,
Okay, I'm
and
gonna switch
yeah, I
switch
don't see
over.
any, yeah, I
No,
don't see any goalies on this list.
yeah, no. There's goalies typically go later round, anyways. Okay,
Yeah.
now we're gonna
Oh,
play a
number
game.
25. Number 25 prospect is a goalie.
Okay, there you go. Canadian.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
6'5", 192 pounds.
Oh, big kid. Holy cow.
Dude, yeah.
Holy. Okay, time to play a
Yeah.
game.
Okay.
So let's see how well this works. Can I shift over to my presentation? No, maybe I can't when it's live. Well, I guess I can just vocalize it to you then. We're going to play a little prediction game. We're going to go through the top 10 free agents or unrestricted free agents coming available July 1st. And you are going to give me your prediction as to where they sign. I'm not going to say for how much because that's boring. Um, but you're going to give me your best guess as to where they sign, and I'm going to give you my prediction as well. You ready?
Okay.
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 The score has the number one coveted free agent as Mitch Marner.
Mm-hmm.
He is as good as gone as far as I'm considered. Toronto's not an option. Where do you see him signing?
I'm going to say Anaheim. They've got some of the best money to throw at him. And according to a few rumors around, they're willing to offer him $14 million a year.
Whew.
That's going to be hard to turn down.
Except you got to live in California, which some
True,
people love.
but
Some people love.
it's California to some people where money can make a lot of that not an issue.
I mean, have you seen Marner's wife? She looks like a California girl.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
could see that. I could also The thing with Marner that I don't know is, would something like the captaincy be
Be an issue
interesting?
for him?
Yeah, or be
Would
intrigued.
he
Would
want
he
that
wanna be the
C
captain?
on his chest? Yeah.
Yeah. Is he got a little bit of an ego? Does he think he's,
If
top
that's the
dog on the
case,
team?
I could honestly see the Rangers throwing some money at him.
Interesting. My guess, and I've said this for the last year and a half, I say Utah. The reason I say Utah is, and I could be very wrong on this, but I believe Utah is there's no state tax, I think.
That I know. That I don't know.
You might need to double check that for me, but Utah is an up and coming team. You can be relatively anonymous there. It's not a nuts hockey market, so he can kind of probably live his life with a little bit of privacy. But they can throw big money at him because they've got the cap space for it,
Mhm.
and they can throw the C on his chest.
Yeah. That's going to
No
be the
offense to
other
Clayton Keller, but he's not Mitch Marner.
that's going to be the other thing with him too, truly. And I think that was the thing with Artemi Panarin going to New York. It's like everybody wants to be the celebrity player until you go to these cities. And then you realize what that really means, what that actually entails in the New Yorks and the Bostons and the Chicagos, where the expectations put on you are so much higher than they would be in a smaller market franchise like Columbus or Utah
Yep.
or St. Louis or someplace like that where you can kind of slide under the radar a little bit and kind of live your life and do your thing. You go to some of these original six teams, these big market teams,
Yeah.
there is a target on you by the media, by the fans, and just overall hockey expectations to be the face of that team, to be
Yep.
the face of hockey. And you have to be willing to accept that and carry that. Because
Yeah.
if you can't, you are going to get ate up.
Yep. Yeah, you'll be in every newspaper, every
Yeah.
article. Every time you lose a game, they're going to be ripping you apart, right? Whereas you can go to like Florida and you can
Yeah.
walk around the streets of Sunrise and no one's going to know who you are, right? Same
Yeah.
with Tampa. Like maybe, someone like when he was there, Stamkos would get recognized. But aside from that, like, even
Not to
Dallas too, right? You can be anonymous in Dallas as a hockey player.
Not to digress here, but did you see that video that was posted? Oh my God, who was it? When you say walk around Sunrise, Florida. Yeah, did you see that video of Barkov where he's walking up to all of his neighbors' houses and it's on all their Ring video cams of him walking up
No,
to their houses with the Stanley Cup, like showing it to them?
no, no way.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
send the link. Put it in the chat.
Oh my God.
I'll watch that.
Oh, it was so cool. Here, I'll post it in the Discord one because it's a lot easier because it's like right here. Oh
I
my
wish I
God, this is
I wish I could share this. Oh, at
yeah,
nighttime
it's like
too?
it's like at 5 a.m. in the morning and he's walking around with the cup, like knocking on the neighbors' doors with the
Oh,
Stanley Cup, like, look at what I
what a
won.
legend. What a
I
legend.
know. I mean, it's not as cool as that Marchand party videos, but it's still pretty cool nonetheless.
Just
It just
ringing
brings
people's
up your point
doorbells.
of here's Barkov just walking around his neighborhood with the cup, knocking on the neighbors' doors. Like, you can't do that in New York. You're not going to do that out in LA with the Kings or anything like
No.
that. It's just not going to happen.
Look at this dude. He's just bringing the cup
That's
door to door.
what I said.
Oh, yeah. Only in Florida. He's just like showing it to the camera
He's
and they leave. Oh,
like,
man.
that's classic.
That's great. That is great.
I could have
Um,
sworn I reposted that I tagged you in it, but I guess I didn't.
no, no. Oh man, some of the party videos. I think one of the best ones was when the Caps won it, and like Ovechkin was in the fountain with it, and I was just like,
Yeah.
people were saying Ovechkin hasn't been sober in like a week. The dude just kept
Yeah.
partying and partying and partying.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'd be pretty psyched up too if I won the cup. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's what I posted out today. I don't care what any of you say, and you can all deny it all you want. We would all love to spend one night partying with Brad Marchand after watching these
Oh
videos.
yeah.
Like,
Oh
we
yeah. Dude knows
really
how to
would.
have a good time for sure.
Exactly.
Okay. UFA number 2, Vladislav Gavrikov. Played with LA
Okay.
last season. Is a defenseman, shutdown defenseman. Um, who's gonna take a stab at a nice shutdown D man?
Well, that brings us back to what we were talking about earlier, circling back to Edmonton. They need a D-man.
Yeah,
McDavid's going to go to the GM and the ownership and say, show me what you're going to build for me here.
yeah,
This is what I can give you. What are you going to put around me? So next year it's us hoisting that cup.
yeah. I think Edmonton
And
would be a great fit for him. He'd be
yeah,
a mean guy. No one would be taking shots at McDavid with him on the ice.
yeah.
That's
And
for
let's
sure.
face it, Edmonton, other than McDavid and Draisaitl too, they're not really deep in salary either. So they should have some money to throw at somebody.
Well, this is interesting too. Let's pull that up right away. How much does Edmonton have in cap space? Current cap space or projected, yeah, is 11.9 million um, in cap space. So that's a significant number to go out and make a
Exactly.
splash. Um, and their UFAs on forward are Corey Perry, Jeff Skinner, Connor Brown, Kasperi Kapanen, holy cow, ex Maple Leafs, uh, Trent Frederick, and on defense, John Klingberg. And Bouchard is an RFA. So this is their problem just in Edmonton, and I know we're getting sidetracked here, is Bouchard's going to command money. He's going to
Yeah.
be $8-9 million defenseman, which I don't think he's worth that, but that's what they get. Um, and I mean, aside from that, everyone else is pretty much locked up. You can replace Corey Perry, Jeff Skinner, Connor Brown, Kapanen. They're all easily replaceable. You just go to the bargain bin and grab another forward, right?
Hmm.
You bring
Well,
some
and that's
people
the
up
other thing
from the
with Corey
minors.
Perry. I think he's like what on his 15th team now and his 40th season in the
Yeah.
league. Like at some point too, Corey Perry's going to have to eventually
Well,
hang up the
he's
skates.
40 years old. Like
Yeah,
that may have been his last crack at it, right?
exactly.
So,
So that's going to be money off the books right there that will add to that
yeah.
once that decision's decided.
Yeah. My prediction for Gavrikov is I don't know him much at all, but I'm gonna say that is a tough one.
See, because that's the thing anymore. You've got to prioritize in the league now what you want to pay for. Do you
Yeah,
want to pay for forwards? Do you want to pay for a surefire centerman that can win faceoffs 80% of the time? Do you want to pay for a shutdown goalie? At some point, too, the D men end up becoming the least priority in the league that the NHL has become now.
yeah. You know what I'm gonna say? I'm gonna say Gavrikov ends up in Vegas.
That's
I think they'll want to
I see
bolster
it.
their
I
blue
could
line
see
a
that.
little
Yeah.
bit. I think that's where he goes. Because I know they've got Shea Theodore and Petrangelo, but both of them have had a lot of injury issues. I could see them trying to nab up a good shutdown D men to kind of shore up their defense and provide some more support for Aiden Hill in net. That that's just
Yeah.
makes the most logical sense to me. Now, here's an interesting one since we're talking about shutdown D men. Number 3, Aaron Ekblad. Where does he end up? UFA, spent some time in the suspension booth for some PEDs last season. Where does he go? If you need to think about it, I'll give you my take right now.
Okay.
He stays in Florida. He doesn't go anywhere.
That's the other thing, though, with Florida, too. They obviously got Sergey still in the books. They got Kachuk still in the books. I don't know what the Marchand deal was to come off the back or just off the top of my head. I don't know what that is. They've got Sam Bennett's already come out and said too, he doesn't want to leave. But
Yep.
you also know every single one of them players now have that word three-peat in their head,
Mm-hmm.
and they're all going to want to be part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that becomes the issue with Florida. Who becomes then the odd man out because you aren't going to be able to keep all of them. You're not. I just don't realistically see them being able to, because any of them that are UFAs, they're going to want to renegotiate and say, hey, I deserve more money. I was part of that shit.
Yeah. Well,
So,
here's the interesting thing too, right? I'm taking all of this from Puckpedia. Projected cap space for next season is $19 million flat. They got 19, and don't forget, we're getting this big boost to the salary cap too, right? So it gives a lot of teams more flexibility.
mhm,
UFAs, they have are Brad Marchand, Thomas Nozick, Sam Bennett, Nico Sturm, and Mackie Samoskevich.
okay.
Up front, Samoskevich is an RFA, so you have leverage and play there. Um, so I don't think that's too much of a concern. The rest of those players, aside from Bennett, I mean, I'm sure you can fill them out. And then on defense, your only UFAs are uh, Jacob Megna, Nate Schmidt, and Aaron Ekblad. I don't know about you, but I think they survived just fine without Nate Schmidt.
Yeah. Yeah, they can him in. And that's the same thing too. Then if Marchand's UFA'd now too after this season, he may be able to say, "Hey, I did it. I went down there. I proved I could still play."
Yep.
And may want to just go some other place,
I think
make
Marchand
bank,
goes back to Boston, honestly.
yeah, make bank and just kind of play out his last few years and
Yep.
ride the wave.
No, I mean, Marchand's already made his money, right? So I
Yeah,
think he either goes back to Boston because it's been home. He wants to go back there. His family's probably there. Um, or he says, you know what? Florida's great. Give me league minimum. I'll stick around, right? Like, because don't forget, he's 37 years old. He's
yeah,
not gonna
he's not playing many more years.
no,
So
and
whatever contract he gets, that's probably going to be his final deal.
yeah, he might get a 3-year deal, or he might do a series of 1-year deals. But what I think he does, like if it's not Boston, he stays in Florida, and he's just going to say, "Listen, give me, you know, $1 million or $2 million," because his thought process is going to be fairly straightforward. You know what old guys hate? They hate the cold. You know where it's
Yeah,
not cold? Florida,
exactly.
right? No tax. So he's going, whatever, right? Take a little bit less, but my take home is the same.
Yep.
And he goes, and you know what? I want to win another cup. Let's go win another cup. Screw it, right?
Well,
Like
and it's also one of them things too. He can try it and say, "Hey, I want the league minimum, but give me this, and this incentive
in
if
bonuses or whatever. Yeah,
we hit this round, we hit this
yeah,
goal, we hit this milestone."
yep,
And them, a lot of them at the players at his age anyway, that's how they do it. They say,
yeah,
"Okay, yeah, fine, I'll take your league minimum, but I want da 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 if
yeah,
we go here, if
yep,
we do this, if we raise this cup,
yeah,
whatever it may be."
yeah. Anyways, we're getting sidetracked. Aaron
Yeah.
Ekblad, he's not going anywhere. He's just not. He's an assistant captain. He's too big of a player to lose. They will probably just sign him to the exact same deal. 7.5 was his last cap hit. They'll say we'll give you a 7.5 again for another 5 years or something like that, and he'll 100% sign it. There's no way
Okay,
he doesn't.
then I'll reverse that on you then. Who do you think will be most likely the odd man out then?
Looking at their roster, I think then they pressure Sam Bennett, not to leave, but to take a very team-friendly deal. He made the mistake of going public and saying, "I wanna stay." So now they go, "Oh, okay, you wanna stay? Well, then
Yep,
you wanna stay? This is the dollar value to keep the team together. You gotta take
yep,
this. Sorry, bud." But any of their other UFAs can go and be replaced by players in the farm system or, like I said,
yeah,
league minimum players. Um, they said they've got 19 million in cap space, and so if Ekblad's 7.5, that leaves you 11.5 million to fill out those couple spots. Let's say
yeah.
Brad Marchand takes 2 million aggressively, right? You still have 9.5 for a couple insignificant spots. It's
Hmm.
it's very doable, I think.
Yeah, yep.
So, um, let me know. Well, where do you think Ekblad ends up? And give me one sec. I'm gonna turn my light on because it's getting dark out here real quick, and my room's getting eerie in here. That's better.
I think if he ends up leaving, I think there's a good chance because, like you said, they've got to build something around Bedard in Chicago. And there's also this emphasis on the league, I think, now too, of we've got to get these original six big market teams back to being competitive.
Yep.
Because how much we enjoy hockey, the ratings, minus the outdoor game that amazingly Columbus and Detroit put on and was a ratings superstar, the playoff ratings were not.
Yep.
So either people don't want to watch hockey or they don't want to watch back to back teams. And there's going to be this major emphasis, whether it's unspoken, spoken, whatever it is we have got to get these big market teams back to being good because whether you and I like it or not, the New Yorks, the Chicagos, the, the Bostons, they draw in ratings.
Oh, and they bring in a majority of the money for the whole league, right?
Yeah,
Like again, not to always be crapping on Florida here, but Florida
yeah,
doesn't bring in the money,
they
right?
don't. And it's amazing because they are truly putting out some of the best hockey,
Hmm.
the best finals, some of the best players. And sadly enough, the average fan or the average person don't give a shit.
Yeah, no,
They don't.
they're not hockey markets. I laughed at that when the Panthers won, and it
Yeah.
was Bettman came out and he's doing his little speech before he awards the Stanley Cup, and he goes, "You guys have once again proved that hockey works in the South," and I'm just like, dude, the ratings are going to be the worst they've ever been. No one's
Yeah.
watching this, right?
Yeah, it works to build a team because again, like we've emphasized, they don't have the state income tax there. So yeah, you can build a team there,
Mhm.
but building a team is not the same as selling a team.
No, no, exactly. No, you said it perfectly. It's a very different thing. You can put a great product on the ice, but you can't just create fans out of thin air. It may change over
Exactly.
time with the winning,
Yes,
but
and I hope it does. I do
yeah,
as a genuine hockey fan. It's unfortunate and kind of sad that people don't see, I guess, what we see in hockey. Like
yeah,
it blows my mind. It frustrates
yeah.
me.
It's like how can you not like this sport? This is the
Exactly.
best sport in the world.
But that also being said about this subject too, because how hard it has been to just sell Florida there, I am baffled to why the league is even discussing putting another team back in Atlanta.
Yeah, yeah,
Like this will be the third time.
yeah. No, I
What
know
are
that
you guys doing?
that's a
Like
whole
you
another
might
topic of conversation.
exactly you might as well put another team in Toronto or a third team in New York or something because
Yep.
it's not going to work. It's hard to sell hockey outside of it is what it is, the original six markets.
Yeah.
It's no different than Columbus, truly is. Outside of the city Columbus, you'd be surprised how many people don't even know Columbus has a fucking team.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just is what it is. But
Yep.
you go to games down in Columbus, the city loves them.
Yeah.
They're sold out all the time. The fifth line is loud. They're proud, and we love it.
The
But
cannons there are the best. I love that.
yes, oh, the Cannon's the greatest. But outside of Columbus and the Ohio market, nobody
Yeah.
really even knows the Blue Jackets exist.
Yep. Okay, let's get back to our UFA game here, and then we can talk
Okay.
expansion and all that stuff too. Um, did you give an answer for where Ekblad go? Oh, you said Chicago. That's actually a really good
Chicago.
answer.
Yep.
Not to pull back my previous answer, but I could see Gavrikov end up in Chicago too. I think that's a really good answer because they need defense. Number 4 is Sam Bennett. Where does Sam Bennett go? And just to give a little bit of context to it, he was making 4.425 last season. So he's in for a probably decent raise. But on the same note, in 76 games played this season, he had 25 goals and 26 assists for 51 points. He is not a massive point man, but he is certainly a clutch playoff performer. So do with that what you will, but that's just to give a little bit of context.
I think this will come down to whether management thinks they can realistically three-peat. If they truly believe that they can three-peat, I think they give him within reason what he wants.
Yeah.
And I think they have a chance of building what they consider a Florida dynasty there, like the Red Wings of the 90s, the
Mhm.
Bruins, that kind of type of dynasty. I think they want to etch themselves in that hockey history of we did this and we did it in Florida.
Yeah. I I don't disagree. My prediction is he stays in Florida as well. I don't think he
Yeah.
goes anywhere. I think he's too happy there. The take home money is too good, and it's a
Yeah.
chance to three-peat and yeah, basically become a legend, right? Three-peats in the salary
Yes,
cap era are next to impossible, so I agree he stays.
exactly.
Number 5, Nikolai Ehlers with Winnipeg last season, $6 million cap hit, 24 goals, 39 assists.
Mm.
Disgruntled, unhappy. He only averaged 15.48 per game over the last 3 seasons, so he's not being played. Um, I would say to his potential. I think he's a pretty talented hockey player.
I think he's a tricky one because I think he's good enough where a lot of teams may want him that he will field enough offers that he's going to go wherever he thinks he can be the, get the most time on the ice.
hmm I think you're right. I'm in agreement with that too. My prediction for him, I think he goes to Toronto. To be honest, I think he goes. I want to play with William Nylander. And I think they slap the two of them together as the wingers on whatever line that is. And I think he puts up some nice numbers playing with Nylander.
See, he could, but like I said, I think if somebody like St. Louis or Dallas or even Colorado, who teams that were just shy this postseason, said, "Hey, you can come here. I think you're that missing link. I think you're that guy that can get us here." I think he takes it.
I think so, and I think he's going to look for term more than anything else
Yeah.
too. So, actually, good answers. I think Dallas is a great answer too, although they are extremely cap strapped. They're very tight.
Yeah.
And just to make sure I'm not making stuff up, let's see what Dallas is at. Projected cap space is 2.7 million. So unless there's a trade happening in Dallas, I don't see him going there. But Colorado's a great one. I could see him as an Avalanche too. But
Exactly, because that's why I said you've got a few of them West teams that they're there. They're just almost there.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Type. pieces. They're that one player, just that one guy away from saying, I think we could be the next Edmonton.
Yeah,
We can be that team next year.
yeah. Actually, you know where else I could see him too would be Vancouver, because I think Brock Besser's gone, um, and they are in need of some more offensive prowess
See, but that's
up
the thing. I
front.
don't think I think Vancouver's more than just a player or two away. I really do.
I
I
think so
think they're
too, but I just think they
and
can offer him the
I
money.
don't know if he's going to want to go to a team that's, for lack of a better term, still in that rebuild
Yeah.
process. I think he wants to go to some place where they can convince him that we can be there with you. We can be in that position next year.
See, I'm looking at him and looking at his ice time and thinking like he wants more ice time, and I think he would get it in Vancouver. They'll go, you
Yeah,
play with Elias Pettersson up on the top line, and then he just runs with it from there and can be happy. But again, the further down this list we go, the harder it gets
yeah.
to guess. Here's a player you'll be familiar with. Number 6, Ivan Provorov. Where does Ivan Provorov go?
This is a hard one because I want to come at this objectively, but I can't because I am not only a fan of the Blue Jackets, but I am a fan of Ivan Provorov. The Columbus Blue Jackets have had a history of finding rent players that don't want to be here. They do one and dones. They
Yep.
come in, they bring a cancer, for lack of a better term, to the locker room. It sets us back. Ivan Provorov has made it very clear he wants to stay in Columbus. He loves the team, he loves the franchise, he loves the city, and he loves the fans. He
Yeah.
played every single game for us last year. So
He's
he's
missed
durable.
he's missed 3 games in 9 years.
Exactly. He is durable. I'm at the position with him where, do I think he reasonably should take a pay cut? Yes. But I also think the Jacket should realize he wants to be there. And as a fan, I want players that want to play for us.
Yeah.
I don't want no more Jeff Carters and Patrick Laine's and guys that come here and don't want to be here.
Yep.
I want guys that want to be part of our team, and he does. And I'm willing to be okay with that.
Yeah. I mean,
If you're not getting a lot of scoring out of him, I don't care. Werenski can score.
yep.
Olivier can score. Jenner can score. We've got guys that can put the puck in the net. Marchenko can score. Chinikov can score. Voronkov can score. I don't need Ivan Provorov to score.
Yeah. You need a presence on the back end,
Yes.
right? I mean, the Blue Jackets have $40 million in projected cap space, so it's not
Yeah,
like
I think they're number two just behind the Sharks in cap space. So they have
yeah,
truly all the money in the world. So there is no reason to not necessarily give him what he wants. But that
yep,
also being said, I don't think he's at the point anymore in his career where he can command the type of contract that he originally got and we picked up.
yeah. I mean, 6.75 for, I don't want to say mediocre because that's not very nice or necessarily the right word, but average stats
Yes.
is high. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah. If he's willing to take and I don't want to say a pay cut either because that makes it sound like he's like being diminished in what his contribution is to the team. And
Yep.
that's the other thing was sometimes with even with the Jackets. He wants to be there. And as a Jackets fan, it's so hard to get other people and other teams and other cities to realize how hard it is to find players that want to be here.
Yeah.
When Goudreau came here and wanted to be here, it was amazing. And the fact that now you have him showing that same passion for the team and the city and the fans.
Yep.
Sometimes you can't put a price on that, guys.
Yeah. And you just say, you know, here's your money. You mean
Yeah,
more to this franchise than, you're not worth that, but you mean enough to us for it. And
exactly.
we got to hit the salary cap floor too. So,
Yeah,
um,
I could see them coming at him somewhere in between the 3 and 4 million mark, and I think he should be reasonable enough to say, okay, yeah, I'm going to take that.
yeah, yeah, I could see that. My guess, just, not knowing a lot about him as a player, um, I'm going to say he goes to Los Angeles because they're losing Gavrikov. They need another defenseman. So they'll scoop him up and he'll go to at least a team that has a shot at making a playoff run.
Yeah,
Again, that's just kind of a random prediction, but that's my gut feeling. Number
yeah.
7 being Brock Besser.
Hmm.
Where does Brock Besser end up?
I'm going to say Nashville.
That's an excellent answer. I'm going to say the Islanders. Again, goal scoring. This guy is a shooter.
Hmm.
He scores goals and had great success in Vancouver with Bo Horvat when he was there. So they reunite in Long Island, is my guess.
Yeah,
But Nashville
yeah.
too. Nashville needs a serious retool. Again, we're going to go off on a million tangents here, but Nashville was a
I know.
dumpster
That's
fire.
why I debated saying it because I was like, man, I can go off for like 20 minutes on just what
Yeah,
Nashville
yeah,
could, should, and needs to do.
yeah. Okay, number 8, John Tavares. Where does John Tavares end up? I'll give you my quick answer on this because I already know he's not going anywhere. He stays in Toronto. He's going to do a team friendly deal in the $5 million range for probably 4 or 5 years. Um, Everyone's saying he's old and he's washed up. The dude had 38 goals, 36 assists. You don't let a 38 goal scorer walk out the door, especially when you're losing a 100-point winger and you need centerman. The dude is so good on the faceoff. Obviously, I'm showing my team bias because I watch it.
Hmm.
Um, but Tavares is too important to leave. You have no one to replace him. There's not a lot of other centers available. Uh, the Leafs keep him. They find a way to get it done.
Hmm.
Plus, he's the hometown kid.
Well,
His
that's
his
true.
his family is established. He's around his own family. He makes enough money on endorsements. He doesn't need to go somewhere else. He doesn't need the money. He just made $77 million. Although he had to fight with Revenue Canada over it. Did you ever
Yeah,
read
I
that
could see.
story?
Yeah, I could see that because again, the pressure in Toronto's honestly unlike a lot of other cities. It is the
Yep.
hockey history there and the mystique around hockey there, and especially because Toronto just keep they get there and then fall back, and
Yeah.
then they get there and then they fall back.
Don't remind me.
And well, at least you get there. Remember, I'm a Blue Jackets fan,
Yeah,
so,
true.
so I'm saying that genuinely
Yeah.
that because there is going to be because you felt it a little bit this year with Toronto that there was this level of expectation, not just Toronto, but the league had on Toronto on them,
Yep.
and I think you're going to see that a lot next year. That there's going to be a couple, whether it's McDavid and Draisaitl in Edmonton or Matthews and Tavares in Toronto, there is going to be this level of expectation for one of these Canadian teams to say, you need to get this done.
Yep.
We're going to do whatever we have to do. We are going to throw whatever money we have to at whatever players we need to, and we got to get this done.
Yep. Yeah.
They're
I th-
tired of
I
they're
agree.
tired of watching Florida and Tampa and everybody else down in Florida hoist the cup.
Yep. Yep. I agree. Okay, so you think he stays in Toronto too then?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Cause, and I don't say that more or less because of him. I say that due to the expectations on on the team and ownership.
Yep.
The pressure there is going to be like it is in any other big market team, but the pressure there is even greater. Where
Yep.
one of these Canadian teams is going to have to go above and beyond, whether it's money, whatever it is, and say, we need to build a team. We need to hoist the cup.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and the biggest thing for me though is like you just look at his stats and you go, who wouldn't want this player? And then you
Yeah.
also go, who's your number two centerman? Max Domi? It can't be, right? Like, no, you need a number two center. Every good team has two centermen, and
Yeah.
you can't lose them. Number 9 is our buddy Brad Marchand. I think we've kind of had the consensus of that. I say it's either Boston or Florida, but I think it's highly likely that he stays in Florida.
Yeah.
He's another year older, more beat up, but he's having a great time there. I think he stays and just enjoys the last couple of years of his
I
career.
think he's going to spend these next 2 weeks living it up and partying like a rock star in Florida. I'm going to be like, I ain't leaving.
Yep. No, why would you? All right, and our final one, and again, these are tough ones 'cause the further down you go. Number 10 is Dmitry Orlov, was with the Hurricanes last year for 7.75. 6 goals, 22 assists, averaging 19 minutes a night. And his expected goals for his Corsi for was 54.96. So a positive impact on the ice. He's 33 years old. Um, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
It could like these types of defensemen could go anywhere because it's going to be a team that needs to fill a hole.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's, that brings me back to a couple of the, he either stays there because obviously Carolina was just, just came up shy, or he
Hmm.
goes to, excuse me, either a Dallas or an Avs or a Vegas, some team that's just, or again, maybe even Edmonton, where we're talking about players now where, yeah, you're just that missing link
Yep.
piece
Yep.
that gets another team just over the hump. I don't see him going to some team where they're like in a rebuilding process, like Nashville or something like that, where they're, or Philly or anything like that, where they're in a rebuild mode.
Yeah. Yeah. I
He's
I
a
tend to agree
missing
with you.
link. He's a missing link player.
Yeah, he's a fill in a spot on D. I think
Mhm.
Edmonton is a great answer. Um, or Colorado, or was he ever on Vegas? I feel like he played for Vegas at one. I know he played for Boston. That was going to be my initial answer was Boston.
Well, that's like a lot of these top guys anyway. I just, like I said, I go back to the fact that Toronto and Edmonton and even I think Colorado and Vegas, they're just going to be gung ho on some of these players because they truly believe, I think deep down, they're only one or two players shy of being that next contender. Truly,
Yeah, yeah, I think you're right. Um, my answer for Orlov is I'm just going to throw it there. This kind of random. I say he goes back to Boston as they retool to go back, but that's just a completely random guess. I have no evidence to back that up.
yeah.
And then I'm just going to read through some of the other ones because there's some interesting names on here. Um, number 11 is Michael Granlund,
Hmm.
who is 33. He's a good top six center. He'd actually be a good fit in Toronto, but probably can't afford him. Patrick Kane is number 12, who is very intriguing because Patrick Kane used to be arguably one of the best players in the league.
Yeah.
13 is Claude Giroux. I loved Claude Giroux when he was with Philly. He was so friggin' good there. And it's just like he's 37 years old.
That's what I honestly, truly was going to say when I looked at the list earlier. I was actually shocked that I that he's actually as young as he is, because he seems like he's been in the league for like 20 years.
He's been around for a long time, that's for sure.
Like, I almost was shocked. It's like, really? He still
Yeah.
plays? Like,
Yep. Oh, he
I'm
was a
like,
Leaf killer
wow.
all year. Every time the Leafs played Ottawa, he was with Ottawa last year, and every time they played
Yeah.
him or played against Ottawa, it was just like, oh look, Giroux scored again. Oh, he won another faceoff. He was just a Leaf killer. 14 is Jamie Benn, which is crazy. He's 35, and I'm just like, man, Jamie Benn is such a stud hockey player. I can't imagine him going anywhere else, but I don't think Dallas has the cap space for him. I don't know where he goes or what they do, or he either has to take league minimum or something, but it's
Well, yeah,
crazy.
because again, he's an older
Thirty,
guy. He's
35,
36. Yeah,
35.
35, 36. Yeah, something like that. So it's, what team's really going to throw that kind of money at somebody that's on his last legs of his career for a winger?
Yeah,
You
the only
know,
thing I can think of with a player like that is a team like San Jose who says, you know what, we need a veteran guy to help teach the young kids. So, come be a mentor, kind of like what the Leafs did with Patrick Marleau when they brought him in and Joe Thornton.
yeah.
That's the only thing I can see, but I can't see him staying with Dallas, and it's kind of sad to be honest because he's always been a Dallas star. 15
Yeah,
is
you hate to see players like that leave when that's been the only place they've really been,
yeah,
because I get it as a fan.
yep, yep. Number 15, Brent Burns. He is 40 years old. That is crazy to me that Brent Burns is 40 years old. Number 16, Jonathan Drouin, who, again, I think is a decent player. Doesn't live up to the third overall pick that he was, but Pius Suter is number 17. Ryan Lindgren, very intriguing as a left defenseman. Jake Allen is a UFA for teams that need goaltending. 20 is Andrew Mangiapane. He's a good Toronto boy, too. I actually would love to see him on the Leafs. Andrei Kuzmenko, Jack Roslovich, and number 23, Nate Schmidt. So I think it will
Yeah.
be a very, very, very interesting and eventful July 1st.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think we'll have to do this again after free agency and we can kind of
Well,
recap and
and I think today officially started the NHL buyout window too, to
yes.
where teams, and I think that runs through the 30th or something, because that became a big talking point today, is what do the Jackets do about Merzlikins? Do they buy his out and try to figure out what to do with him and just say, hey, we're going with Greaves next year?
Hmm.
Or what do we do with him?
Yeah.
Because they've kind of put themselves in a little, I don't want to say themselves and then himself too, in a little predicament here.
Yeah.
Or what do you do now with Merzlikins? Because you give him a big contract, you try to trade him. Most teams are going to look at that and say, we're not taking that.
Yep.
He ain't worth that deal. So
Yep.
then the Jackets and Waddle's going to have to say, okay, well then we'll pick up this portion of it if you want him.
Yeah. You're gonna have to retain salary or sweeten the deal to get rid of them, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, that's an interesting one too. I found the most interesting piece of news today though was that Jonathan Taves announced he was going to sign with Winnipeg. And I was like,
Yeah,
can you even announce this yet? Like I thought you'd have to wait till July 1st, but I guess if it's a non negotiable thing, just telling all the other teams I'm not signing with you, then I
yeah,
guess that's it, right?
I guess that was just pretty much his way of saying, I'm going there. Don't even try.
Yeah, I guess, but I thought that was interesting. I mean, it makes sense if he's chasing another cup. He's also from Winnipeg, so
Yeah,
he's going home.
yeah,
He
I get it.
Yeah, and Winnipeg obviously won the President's Cup last year with being the best team in the league. So they have all the pieces. They have a world-class goalie in Connor Hellebuck. The team is built incredibly well. They just somehow manage to lose in the playoffs every year. So I,
Yeah,
it doesn't really surprise me, to be honest. I think good for him. I'm glad that he's coming back.
yeah,
Um, but he'll be an interesting one to watch to see how he performs if he can actually get back up to NHL speed.
yeah.
So
It's hard to tell.
time will tell. Well, Leslie, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. I think it's great to just talk some sports, and I'm glad we got to talk hockey the whole time. It was too bad Ray couldn't join us, but we'll get him on
Yeah,
the next one. But we'll have to do this again sometime, probably after the draft, after the free agent frenzy, and we'll
yeah.
see if our predictions are any good at all. And then we can maybe talk a little bit to set the stage for next season after all the dust is settled, and we'll see how all how we think our teams will fare and what will change for next year. Because yeah, there's lots more we can talk about. We can talk about LTIR manipulation. We can talk about the schedule. I almost went down the conspiracy hole with when you mentioned Chicago, because the year they were tanking, I was like, oh, they get Bedard 100%. Like as soon as it was the year to draft Bedard, I'm like, he's going to Chicago. The NHL can't afford to make that team suck for that long. Like they need a
Yeah.
superstar. There's no way they don't get Bedard, and lo and behold, they get Connor Bedard. So we'll have
Same,
lots more to.
the same way the NHL did it the year the Penguins were going to leave Pittsburgh and fold, and then all of a sudden they got Sidney Crosby.
Yep, yep. Or you could even say, like the Islanders right now too, right? It's like, listen, we got to
Mhm.
bump the Islanders back up too, or
It's
San Jose, whatever, right? Like even Florida
well,
getting Ekblad.
which is kind of what I said about some of these original six teams, and like it's a double edged sword. Like I don't like it that sometimes that's the way it goes, but that also being said, I want hockey to be successful. I
Yeah,
love it as a fan, and I want their ratings to grow. I want the league to grow. I want the sport to grow, and if that means that some of these original six teams have to get better to help boost them ratings, then
yeah.
I think that's
It
just
just
some.
it just sucks that you start to question the authenticity of it all, right? Like I
Yes.
get it. It's a business first, right? It is a
Yes.
business. They need to make their money. I understand that. But it's like if
Hmm.
there's a little bit of like, hey, Gary, we got to make sure I should do it this way so don't cover my mic.
Hmm.
We got to make sure we get Bedard because, no one's coming to our games. And
Exactly.
then it really starts to throw a wrench in it. But next time we'll dive into a lot more about or at least I will give you all my gripes I have with the NHL, the issues I see, the problems that can be fixed. I want to talk playoff format. I want to talk officiating. I want to talk. Um, we'll talk some conspiracies within the league too, and
Oh, I could have went down a whole Atlanta rabbit hole.
yeah, we'll talk expansion. We'll talk all that fun stuff next time. And like I said, if you want to do a little bit of recruiting too, and you know anyone else who would love to get in on these conversations, please invite them. Everyone is welcome. But yeah, I'm gonna sign off for now. Fire up some video games and stream some games tonight, and hopefully bring some viewers in and get my watch hours up.
Sounds good.
Thank you
Well, thank you
again.
for having me.
No problem. I appreciate it so much. We'll do it again, probably in July sometime.
Yep, sounds good.
Cool. Have a great night, Leslie. Thanks
All
again.
right. Bye.
Is my stream ending? I can't tell. Come on, Rumble.